Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another outstanding episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. I'm your host, that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching. Where's he going next? Nobody knows. 3 continents down, 3 more to go. No cap, straight facts. The worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. But it's not about us. You see, we have a guest today, a special guest today, who's making a name for himself in the PNW. And he's making such a name for himself that he's actually the Pacific Northwest heavyweight champion. He is the Satanist sweetheart, the broken heart of PNW. Everybody, welcome to the show, the Rat King. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for fucking putting over the broken heart thing, by the way. I've been trying to get that over for years, and nobody will let me do it.
Hey, like I say like I normally say in our outros, hashtag we are not the same. How's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it's all right. We finally have like a string of decent weather out here, which is like, for Oregon, that's unfucking heard of. So
awesome, man. I gotta check out.
I can say the fuck words and stuff, but I imagine you didn't kick me out immediately, so I imagine I can.
No. So here's the thing: if we would let Stone Cold Steve Austin swear, on our podcast, and let's say New Jack from the Gangsters, and a lot of people, then why not you guys? You're good. I'm not gonna cuss because I'm it's not professional of me. But if you guys want to, by all means, go ahead, let it fly. But yeah, so wow, Oregon, that's actually on my list of places to go. And I'm gonna make it happen real soon. The first thing I do when I get off the plane at PDX, I'm gonna find the nearest Voodoo Donut and try it out because I heard a lot of great things about it. So
you'll be horribly disappointed. Yeah, no, man. Hit up Day Night Donuts. There's a few in town, but Voodoo is a tourist trap, man. They're expensive. They've got stale cereal and their fucking donuts. They suck. There's a lot of way better places in Portland to get really good food and a lot cheaper.
Why does everybody keep saying that? Like you first you said that, and then before you, one of our alumni guests, Bradley, who's a referee, he actually said the same thing too, and I'm like, wow, okay, am I missing something? I mean, I'm just going by what the WCWC advertised,
Don't listen to a goddamn thing WCWC ever said, man.
So were they wrong about Brunch Box? Because I was saying the first thing I'm gonna do.
Okay, Brunch Box is pretty dank. They have that.
Man, I was so disappointed because I'm like, what? One of the first things I'm gonna do as well too when I hit up PDX is check out Brunch Box because I remember I used to tune in the WCWC for like a year or two straight. That's how I know guys like Ricky Gibson, Eddie Pearl, Hammerstone before he got popular, Mikey O'Shea, and so on. And you guys had a manager. He reminded me so much of Mr. Fuji. He had the top hat. Not you per se, but there was a guy that was working there as a manager.
Mr. Tubbs,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
My manager. Mr. Tubbs is actually still my manager to this day.
Mr. Tubbs. He was the one that put me on to that, and I was like, man, when I get over to Oregon, I gotta try out that place. It looks really delicious. I'd probably lose my mind. I'm a fool for a good burger too.
Him and Eric Wright had those commercials for Brunch Box.
Wow. That's cool, man. Oh yeah, wow. That's another name I remember too. I tell you, I miss that promotion, man. You guys put me on to so many people. They put me on to so many people in Oregon, like Hammerstone them. The pardon?
I don't miss it even a tiny bit. I actually, one of my first career goals was to be able to piss on that promotion's grave.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad blood there.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not your fault, man. I'm not being shitty about it. I'm just, stating facts.
Yeah, but I'll never forget. One of the most hilarious things I ever saw was, Matt Stryker became the champion, the Heritage champion, I believe.
Yeah.
And I guess there was like a 24/7. I guess there was like a 24/7 rule, and he's running all over the place trying to avoid people, fighting off people and all that. And I remember one particular time, I guess it was at an armory, and he hops on the tank and he's like, "Wow, this brings back so much memories." And I think he was referencing DX, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He got in trouble for that. Actually, the armory was really pissed at him that he did that.
"That you hopped on the tank?"
Yeah, yeah, he was not
Wow,
supposed to do that. We almost lost the building because of it.
wow, yeah,
Did
that
you
was that was.
you get my very short run on WCTV?
I did, and it's funny. So I remember. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that because I know that you're the Rat King now.
No,
You
that's fine.
know,
It's fine, man. I mean, I used to be really protective of my past and I want to talk about it, but now it's like it's far enough in the past and shit. Like
okay, but we're gonna get that. But before we get, I gotta ask. I mean, I had one of your fellow, I guess you could call it well, I guess you could call him in a way your mentor or stablemate, Ricky Gibson, the Rock God, on our show. I asked him the same question, but how did you become a fan of professional wrestling? How did it start for the Rat King?
So I was a backyard wrestler for like 5, 6, 7 years. Like from ages 13 to 21. However, I'm a wrestler. Hey Siri, what's the? Oh, it's not plugged in. Never mind. Well, however many years that was, I was a backyard wrestler, and I took it way more seriously than everybody else.
Okay.
And there was, when I was starting to get like at an age where it was absolutely ridiculous for me to still be backyard wrestling and taking it seriously, I looked up the WCWC Training Academy, which is in my hometown of Salem.
Okay.
And I started out at 135 pounds soaking wet. I'd never been to the gym in my life. And I trained under Eric Baden, Eric Wright, the original grappler, and Jeremy Blanchard.
Okay.
And, I came up with guys like Caden Cassidy and Marcus Malone, Air Jordan, Malcolm Flex. Trying to remember all their current names because it's a whole lot of new names. But yeah, I did that for years. I worked security on a lot of WCWC TV tapings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had my debut match against who is now Jack Hammer from Oregon Wrestling School because he trained with me and then he fucked off for a few years and then came back and he's super over now. So I'm glad too because that dude is talented as shit. And then I wrestled Eric Wright under a mask and I was working student shows for a long time until I had an opportunity at the Northwest Wrestling Alliance. And Wade Hess, who now books me at BCW, gave me a shot at NWA. I held on to there. I ended up doing a 24-hour show at DOA, which got me in at DOA. So I wrestled there quite a bit.
Cool.
Quite a while. And around the time that I started wrestling at NWA, I also extended into training with Dr. Cleaver, who I consider my biggest mentor these days. Because Doc taught me everything that nobody else would, and if it wasn't for Doc, I probably wouldn't still be around. So he's always on my trainer list. But Eric Baden and Eric Wright are they're up there with Doc.
Cool. That's awesome. And then you got your big break in the West Coast Wrestling Connection. And it's funny because I got to get Ricky Gibson back on this show because he did something that a lot of people didn't realize. And that's he had first off, so he started off as the Rock God. Cool, one of the coolest heels I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
Did his thing. Then he had Eddie Pearl, who started joining him. Eddie Pearl was his roadie, and then all of a sudden,
drummer.
Oh, he was a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. I thought he was they were like.
He used to bring drumsticks to the ring and use them as a gimmick.
How did I miss that? Oh,
I don't think he did it on TV, but that was our dynamic.
Okay, so he actually started pretty much like being in his corner, and then all of a sudden when they started tagging, you started being in their corner. I don't know if you were the roadie. I'm not gonna say roadie. Maybe I guess you were the keyboardist or the
No,
bass guitar.
I was the roadie. My
Oh,
function
okay.
inside the band was I played bass. I'm
Okay.
also the only person in the entirety of what was 4 Minutes of Heat that actually could play an instrument.
Okay. Wow. So
But
yeah, then
go
go
ahead.
ahead. So so you actually, so you actually went out, started, being in the corner of the two of them, and I was like, okay, they got a third guy. What if he's gonna become, I'm not wonder. I'm like, all right, now he's definitely going. It's only a matter of time till he becomes the next member, and then we got a 3-man that's going to start trouble all over, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, something happened, and poof, like you were like, nah, forget it. I'm not gonna be in your guy's shadow. I'm gonna become, who you are today, the Rat King. So tell us, how did that, like, what was behind that transformation? Like, what was your mindset, like, you know, transitioning from roadie to now, the Rat King?
Well, I have to back you up there for a minute. So you basically only saw WCWC on TV, right? So
Yeah, I did.
Eddie and I started off as Billy and Sandy Cole, and we were a tag team.
Okay.
Ricky started teaming with both of us simultaneously, but the promoter of WCWC didn't want to put me on TV. So I essentially watched my tag team be split apart, and then those two go off and do what they were doing without me. And it was like watching my mentor, my best friend, just completely overwrite my existence. So I got sick of that at a point, and I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go do my own thing. I cut my mullet off. I dyed my hair green. I shaved my eyebrows off. And I started calling myself Billy Moon at the suggestion of Richard Sincere, actually. You saw him on TV for a bit.
The guy with the mustache.
Yeah. He's an incredible wrestler who was just recently retired, and he was pretty instrumental in me revitalizing my career. He's incredible, man. He's legit, too. Like, he will kill a motherfucker. He had, like, 25 years of, like, combat sport experience with, like, judo and wushu, Muay Thai, any kind of combat you can do. He was an expert in it, and he was incredible.
Wow.
So when I split off from 4 Minutes of Heat and became Billy Moon, we actually formed a new stable called the Cool Heels, which is kind of like we're a parody of like all the heels who want to be like cheered. It was a complete meta wrestling, but we were supposed to be heels, but it got over as baby faces so much that we just started rolling with it. So it was me, Eric Wright, Richard Sincere, and Flex Walker, who became Malcolm Flex. And yeah, Cool Heels was basically what saved my career from that point, because I was so burnt out from getting absolutely fucked by 4 Minutes of Heat that I was driven by bitterness for a long time. But, when the bitterness started to fade and I was like, what am I going to do next? That's when Billy Moon became a thing. And I retooled the character quite a bit from like being the generic crazy man, no eyebrows, screaming, to kind of just being me for the first time.
Okay.
Because, when I was Billy Pearl, I had the fucking blonde mullet and I wore leopard print pants and pretended I liked 80s rock, which I don't. I hate that shit.
Okay.
So it was my goal to become more authentic in my interests. And when COVID hit, I was still Billy Moon, but I had kind of peaked. I was the BCW TV champion at the time. And, I was very popular, but I felt like there was a ceiling to, my success. So over the times of, that's a weird sentence, over COVID, I started accumulating things. I had Richard Sincere's wife make me like this really cool cape, because she's a burlesque dancer, Riri Sincere, incredible in the Northwest. Like anybody who watches this should check her out because she's awesome. She made me my big ass cape. I bought the Baphomet mask from Anarchic Manifestations on Etsy. They
Okay.
made masks for Calabrese and Twin Temple, which these
Okay.
covers. And I took a shitty X-Acto knife and I poked the eyes out and I put little red LEDs in there. It looks like a bomb if you actually like look inside the mask. Like I can never take it on an airport.
Okay.
But yeah, I developed the character of the Rat King, basically just delving deeper into my love for Satanism and occultism. And it just fucking exploded. Like to the point where it happened so fast for me that I still haven't exactly caught my breath yet. Like if I ever stop and look at all the crazy shit that I've done, I would have a panic attack.
Oh wow. Well, that's great that you actually started something, and it's paying off for you. It's kudos on that. What I gotta say, what a journey. You went from Billy Pearl to pretty much one third of, or 4 minutes of Heat, somewhat. Then you went on to Billy Moon, part of Cool Heels. Now you're the Rat King, and you're also in another stable. Am I correct?
Yeah, Hellbound. One that
Yeah.
I
So
started myself this time. Thank God. Thanks, Satan. I mean, it's a matter of phrasing, honestly. But yeah, Hellbound was completely natural. It's not like I keep intending to have these successful stables, but I have been part of 3 of the most successful stables in the Northwest, is all I'm saying. So,
awesome.
me and Tubbs, who had been together through 4 Minutes of Heat, through Cool Hills, and then, he was still working with me when I was the Rat King. I was like, man, we should get Gregor Petrov in on our stuff because he's already the Russian Hellhound. He's got a Hell Guy gimmick. I've got a Hell Guy gimmick. He's small and very strong, and I'm I'm a taller, stockier, I wouldn't say super indie, but I'm a kick punch suplex kind of guy. So I thought he fit really well with us. And we got a curveball when I got teamed with Draven Vargas. But Draven came up with this logo here, and we were originally the Hellblazers. And
Okay.
after our first successful tag match together, we became Hellbound with Petrov. And shit just spiraled from there. And somehow, we're everywhere. We're in, Washington. We've wrestled down in California together. And it was never the intention, for me to be, the Suedo leader, because I'm not about hierarchies and shit. But, I've got 2 fucking title belts on my wall. Hellbound have been the tag team champions at BCW and at Rogue Wrestling Attractions. And
Okay.
straight up just taken over a few promotions, for lack of a better term. And it's it's so crazy because I've had a lot of dynamics with a lot of different people, but me, Tubbs, Petrov, and Draven, it just makes so much sense. And Draven's been a friend for years, but never close. And if it wasn't for just these crazy circumstances, we never would have ever come together. But now we're best friends in and out of wrestling.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen a picture of you guys, and you guys look like that tag team to watch out for. Not tag team, that stable to watch out for. It's for you guys.
We kind of trade off. We all work solo. We all work tag teams. Basically whatever we're booked as, because we have chemistry between all of us no matter what we do.
That's cool. So, out of all the states, so is there any difference in the states that you guys wrestled in? Because you say you wrestled in you obviously wrestled in Oregon, you wrestled in Washington, and you wrestled in California. I just gotta say, not digress. For some reason, just something about the West Coast wrestling scene, the West Side wrestling scene, that just feels so different. I was just in Los Angeles for WrestleMania week, not even for WrestleMania, just to check out the shows. And y'all are definitely a different vibe over here. And I'm over here in Brooklyn, New York, which is
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool over here. But it's just like if you were to go here and then go over there, you could definitely see that it's a different vibe. But yeah, like is there any difference between the states over there, like Washington, California, and Oregon, or is it like all the same thing with the crowds and so on?
Well, as far as like Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and even like very southern Canada, like right on the border, we all wrestle kind of like, the Northwest old school style, where there's a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of striking, a lot of just, kick, punch, suplex, like I call my style.
Right.
Uh, and, there's a lot of young guys now who are, you know, doing more of a high impact, flippy kind of style, which I won't shit on. It's not really my cup of tea, but I've always preferred, more old school stuff. And even like, Northern California versus Southern California, completely different styles. Because
Okay.
if you're north or in Sacramento, it's all like Oregon guys, like the same kind of style. You're like in the
Right.
LA area, you got luchadors, you got like really, really, really good athletic, like Titus Bishop, Big Ugly's kid is an example. Dude should be signed to AEW. People who are signed to AEW, like Darby Allin. I wrestled Darby when he was Darby Graves. We wrestled a student show together.
Okay.
Aubrey Edwards used to ref for WCWC. I don't think she was ever on TV, but I've got a picture of me kicking a baby doll out of the ring and her yelling at me about it. Nick Wayne is from up here. He's going to debut in AEW soon. I've never met the kid personally, but
You also have two young ladies over there who I'm hoping we see as a tag team. Danica Diehard, Danica Delarouche, and I forgot the other girl's name. They both graduated. They're the first two females to graduate
Buddy
from
Wayne,
from Buddy Wayne's Academy.
Rebel
Yeah.
Kelp.
No, no. She looks similar to Danica. Like you would think they're sisters, but they're not. But I actually had a picture of them on. There's a picture of them on our page, and it's them sitting together. And
I'm kind of separate from like the greater Oregon wrestling scene. So like
okay,
I don't know. I mean I know of all these people, but I keep to my own area.
McQueen. Her last name's McQueen.
Oh, Izzy McQueen, right?
Izzy McQueen. That's yeah.
I know the name. I could not pick her out of a lineup, but I've heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah, but y'all got a definitely great batch, and
Dude, Amira is going to be the one who gets signed before anybody. Amira is incredible.
I do not doubt you because I've seen that girl chop some people even live. I would not want no smoke with her unless she's having a barbecue and is offering me a free plate.
And
I'm
she's
good.
been doing it for like a year, maybe 2 years max. Like there's just some fucking raw talent when you see it, and it just she could get signed tomorrow and I would not be fucking surprised in the least. Yeah, she rules.
Yeah, another one of your fellow wrestlers, Charlie Avell. I remember that I was like Charlie.
On Saturday.
Wow, that's gonna be a showdown. But because we had him.
He trained with me. I actually taught him how to bump.
Oh, yeah, because we had him on the show almost 2 years ago, and because he just graduated from Nightmare Factory.
Yeah.
And long story, we had a guy named Diamond Sheik that we had on our show for our other segment, which is 15 Minutes of Fan, where we interview fans. He was like, "Yeah, I'm training at Cody Rhodes wrestling school, Nightmare Factory." I'm like, "Okay, well, when you graduate, let us know, and we'll have you back on the show as a main guest." He graduates, he's back on our show on as a main guest. But then I saw the whole picture of them, and I was like, you know what? Let me interview all those people. And I asked him who they were, and Charlie was one that we got to interview.
Yeah, Charlie went down to Cody's school with Dr. Luther, who took over the WC Academy after my trainer was unceremoniously cut loose after 10 years. But that is not Luther's fault, by the way. No heat with Dr. Luther at all. Great guy. But
Yeah.
him, Blake Marine, who wrestles as Parker Lee now, Caleb Kennedy.
Had him on the show too. Had him on. Had both of them on the show. Wow, small
I
world.
had Caleb Kennedy's first match ever on a 24-hour show. We had a match. If you look at my Instagram, that picture of me in the dress, like giving the seductive face, that was me looking at Caleb.
Wow, this is a small world, man. Because we had both those guys on our show.
Like we all know each other one way or another.
Wow, that's definitely crazy. But I told Charlie, I was like, Charlie, who should we have on the show that's from Oregon? We're trying to, because my new job has me coming home like at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I'm like, let me go ahead and interview some people from the West Coast, because there was a guy by the name of Gabe Sapolsky who I recommend anybody who's in the wrestling industry to listen to on Twitter. He has these weekly spaces. He was like, yeah, people on the West Coast don't get a lot of love. And it's just sad because there's a lot of great talent, larger than life people out there. And I was like, yeah, Gabe, you're right. So you know what? I think I'm gonna make it happen. And then I did the whole announcement on our podcast page, and I asked Charlie, I'm like, who do you think we should have from Oregon on our show? And he gave me several people. He gave me King Naja. He gave me the Flaming Aces. Derek, is this Derek Shaw?
Oh,
yeah.
Derek Shaw. Yeah. No, that's sorry. I said his real name.
Yeah. And then he had Amira was one of them too. I was like, okay, we're gonna interview all of them. And yeah, like I've been so impressed by the stories and the matches and everything. You got a guy named Jaden, who you think is the Hurricane, but he's not the Hurricane. He's just as talented as Shane Helms, and I'm looking forward to seeing.
If he got signed tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah. So
freakishly athletic.
Yeah. So now that you have your own stable going and whatnot, would you be like, what are some other stables that y'all would want to have a feud with? They could be from anywhere, or it could be a stable from the indies. Like, what are y'all's like top 5 that y'all would really like to go head to head with?
Stables. Are we talking like all time? If I can include people who are dead.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, why not? Let's get creative tonight.
Sure. Well, 4 Horsemen, obviously.
Woo!
Blackpool Combat Club, because it's just dudes that I absolutely adore. Like, how can you not love those guys? I guess they're heels now. I don't really keep up with TV wrestling, but I don't understand being able to boo any of those motherfuckers. They're incredible. Man, let me think about dudes who are like stables in the Northwest, or like any that I know about. Man, I'm such a dick. I only really pay attention to my own stuff.
It's okay.
There's those State of Emergency guys out of Canada. I think they're just a tag team, though.
You know what? I'm going to interview those guys real soon. I've been hearing about them too much now.
Yeah, they're a name that comes up. There's the Academy out of DOA. That's Doc Cleaver's thing, though, and Doc is technically also still part of Hellbound, so that would be weird. But I think Doc likes us better. So, if the Oregon Wrestling School kids ever formed a stable and shit, that would be cool to work them.
Wait, they formed an actual stable?
No, I'm saying if they did.
Okay.
I like to work Naja and the Aces, because I know the Aces. I know of Naja. I've never met him.
Okay.
If it was say Naja, the Aces, and Amira, that would be a great thing. BBC obviously is Brothers by Color is a stable at BCW that we're actively engaging in a feud with.
Okay.
I'm really excited about working all of them because they're all really talented dudes. And the BBC acronym is absolutely on purpose.
I'm not gonna touch that one, but I see what they did there, and I like it.
BBC.
Yeah, that's kind of like these guys. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but I know Caleb Kennedy and Parker Lee have definitely heard of them. They're called the Dudes in Kimonos. They're over in Georgia. But their acronym is DIK.
That's incredible.
And they're like,
I've not heard of them, but I love it.
and they're like, everybody loves DIK, and then they call their fans dickheads. So I'm like,
Speaking of kimonos, you want to hear a fun story that I never told in the podcast before?
hey, go ahead, man. It's your time.
So this is the tale of Yukata Billy. So Yukata is like a kimono, but it's more formal.
Right.
So Hellbound wrestled a show up in Idaho called the State Line Showdown. It was a support all wrestling show. It doesn't exist anymore after this show, actually. We were promised $100 a head and a hotel room. All we asked for. It was like, we're going to sell merch and shit. So we wrestled the show. It draws an incredibly light house. I'd say like 12 to 15 paid people. But that's not our fault. Like, promote your fucking show, my guy. So I ask about the room like 5 or 6 times throughout the day. And he's like, oh yeah, no, we got it handled. Okay. So we tear everything down. At this point, I have put on my yukata that I took with me because I am ready to hang out. I'm chilling. It's comfortable. It's like, 90 degrees in fucking Idaho. So like, I'm in a flowy Japanese dress, basically. Finally, the promoter's like, hey, I can only pay 3 of you, but we got your hotel handled. And Petrov took the bullet like a homie. He's the one who got us the thing. And he's like, just pay me later. So we get to the hotel. By the way, this show, if I hadn't mentioned, was at a biker bar in Idaho.
Ooh.
Like a creepy one. Like I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't want to be wearing man panties in a place like this. At the time, I don't anymore just because it got dirty and I haven't bought a new one, but I wear a trans flag armband on my arm, and I was wrestling in front of a bunch of obviously kind of fucking bigoted bikers, and I was like, oh, this is bad. So I wasn't going to take it off either. So anyway, we get to the hotel, which is about, 5 miles down the road in State Line, Idaho. We're in line, we're waiting. Somebody gets turned away because all the rooms are sold out. We get there and I'm like, there's no way that we have a room here. We get there and they're like, oh yeah, we see the room here. The card got declined. And I'm like, wonderful. And we know the whole motherfucker is sold out. So it's like $240 because they tried to book it the day of because fucking idiots. So Al Tubbs, being the best manager in the world, puts down his credit card and secures the room. And then I'm on the phone to the promoter and I'm like, hey, cards declined. What are we going to do about this? I hear yelling. Like in the background, I can hear just screaming. And he's like, yeah, no, come back down to the bar and we'll handle it. So we get back in the car. We go up the road, and I'm still in my yukata, by the way.
Okay.
For you, though, my friend Petrov, Gregor Petrov, had just gotten married. This entire weekend was supposed to be his bachelor party with his boys. So all of that is fucked. Draven, he does not handle stress well. So he's likely to pop off and get angry. And then Tubbs has already put down his credit card for us, and he's a socially awkward 54-year-old father of 3. So I'm looking at all these guys who would have to approach this biker bar owner, and I was like, I'm probably the one who can get knocked out, and it wouldn't affect our odds of winning this fight too badly. So I roll up in a goddamn yukata, sit next to the bar owner. I'm like, by the way, the promoter, gone. He took off. Nowhere to be seen.
Wow.
Yep. So I roll up on this fucking crusty ass biker bar owner, which I hear is going to jail tomorrow. Like he has a warrant out and he is turning himself in the day after. So I just roll up on the bar like, hey man, promoter said you were good for this. Wearing a fucking dress.
Woo! Okay.
He paid us. And man, when we got back to that hotel room, I double locked and I put a couch in front of the fucking door. Like, he knows what room we're in. We're getting Sons of Anarchy tonight. But the worst that happened to us is I propositioned Nathan, the Domino's delivery boy, while wearing my yukata. He wasn't interested, unfortunately. But that's the story of how I shook down a fucking biker bar while wearing a dress.
Wow.
Yeah, never told that one, but that's the legend of Yukata Billy.
Wow. That is some story, man. That is some.
Hell, man. Indie wrestling.
By the way, the whole thing with that door being double locked, that reminded me of my first time in Los Angeles, and I got shook. I don't know if you know where Boyle Heights is, but I had my first taste of Boyle Heights. It's in like California, and it's and I'm not racist. I'm not trying to say, for those y'all listening to all my Latino followers, I'm not racist, but when I was following the Google Maps thing on how to get to this certain wrestling show. It's called AWS. It was in Southgate, California. And so I'm like, okay, take this train and then get off at Union Station, then take this bus to this bus, and you'll be there. So the first bus I took, I was like, when I got on, I was the only black person on it. Everybody else was, Hispanic or some other ethnicity. So I was like, man, please don't let me get jumped on this bus, man. Don't let me get robbed. I'm not a gangster. I'm from the suburbs. Like, I don't know nothing about the hood. Please don't let me get, because I'm thinking California, Bloods, Crips, all these gangs and stuff, and I'm like, please don't let me get jumped. But luckily nothing happened. When I found a hotel and when the show was done, I made the fastest power walk I ever did in my life to my hotel. I ran a bit too. I'm much a runner, but I definitely power walked, like a mother. And I checked in, I locked my door, and I didn't make a sound in my room. And the first crack of dawn that I saw, got up, checked out, took the next bus, got out of LA.
LA's a dangerous place, man. I would not fuck around there. That's why I didn't go to WrestleMania week. I was like, nah, man, looking like me? Hell no. I draw attention. Like,
I could tell you this: the Chinatown there isn't that bad. I stayed whenever I go to LA, I always stay in Chinatown, because I'm the kind of person, if I find a hotel that I like, and normally it's like the first hotel. Whenever I visit a new city for the first time, the first hotel that I book there is normally the hotel I stay at. Like, that's normally the hotel I'll always go for. Whenever I go back to that city,
covered in bed bugs and fucking sea roaches crawling across your feet. I get it. Like, there's a standard of quality there. You don't want to experiment outside that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Chinatown wasn't that bad. But yeah, luckily I had a friend that showed me the good parts of LA. I'm like, okay, it's not that bad up here. I'll definitely come back.
Yeah, there are definitely things in LA that I want to check out. I'm just skeeved out by the fact I will probably get stabbed if I walk around there looking like I do. So, like, it's probably a beanie and, like, wear a blank hoodie and black pants kind of town for me.
Okay. I'll tell you what, you definitely like New York, though. If you've never been there before, you would definitely like it over here.
I've been out of the West Coast.
Yeah, New York is definitely a different vibe. Speaking of which, how far, I guess, east have you guys gotten in terms of like wrestling?
Me personally, I've only been to Idaho.
Okay.
I've wrestled in Canada and in northern middle California. Like, the farthest I've been south is Oakland.
Okay.
So, very regional for me. I'd like to get out more, but I've never even been on a plane, man. Because I haven't been extended opportunities, and it costs a lot to travel like that, and it's a big risk. So,
okay.
But I mean, if some promoter hit me up tomorrow and it's like, hey, I'm gonna fly you out to like bumfuck Virginia, I'd be like, all right, see you there, man. I've just never been offered, so I haven't gone.
Well, hopefully, you and the rest of Hellbound, y'all get a chance to be over here and wrestle and see and check out how the crowds are over here. I can tell you right now, if you ever get to wrestle in New York, it's different because they make up their own chants, and Um, they could either make you or break you. That's the thing over here. The fans here, but for the most part, it's really enjoyable. And one thing I wish for every wrestler is that they get a chance to wrestle all over the country, if not all over the world. It's always a great feeling. You get and you get new experiences, and you get a bit of an education with travel. I always tell people that travel is an education within itself. Not many people know that, but it's an education within yourself, and it's an enjoyable one as well too.
Yeah, man. Even traveling regionally between like towns, I've never been able to just go to normally. Like,
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of cool shit. I've met a lot of cool people. I've got a lot of friends in California that I never thought I'd have. Like, I
yeah.
probably have as many friends, like, in NorCal than I have in Oregon. Just from, wrestling for VF3 and rest in peace, and Supreme Pro Wrestling and Hood Slam. Well, not really Hood Slam, Stoner U, but, same guys.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Supreme because Sir Samurai was like, "Hey, I know that guy," and I'm
I
like,
love
"Wow."
Josh. Josh rules.
Yeah, I hope I get to check out a SPW show very soon because a lot of the shows look interesting. They have a lot of talented people on them, and
If you're gonna
they
try
have
one, wait until the Halloween show or the anniversary show. Those are the big, big ones they do.
the Halloween show. Why I got a feeling? Oh, geez, I forgot what her name is. There's a woman that has an orange mask, like it's like a jack o' lantern.
Sage Sin.
Why I got a feeling Sage Sin is actually gonna appear on that Halloween show.
She probably will if she's not booked. I mean, she only
Yeah.
lives like 2 hours away from there.
Yeah, I heard somebody told me that Halloween is her thing. Like she definitely enjoys it. So I'm like, yeah, it would be cool to see her actually appear on that show.
Yeah, I mean
So I
that's where Shotzi came from too. Is that area? She came from Stoner U.
yeah, that same AWS show that I went through Boyle Heights to she was actually on that show. It was her. You had people like Nicole Savoy. I saw not Rich Swan, Willie Mack. He was there, but he wasn't wrestling. And that's why I first saw the Stoner Brothers too. They were actually on that show. Yeah, that
Fucking
was
love Scott Rick and Rick Scott. Those guys are fucking awesome.
yeah. Yeah, that AWS show was that was the first place I got my first taste of California wrestling, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
this is definitely different and a good different. And these people are like these are people that Vince McMahon loves his gimmicks. Vince McMahon would probably go scouting over there. He'd be like, let's see who we can get to be over with the crowd and everything character wise.
Yeah, thankfully most of those guys don't fuck with rich old racists. So
Oh,
I mean, I'm not dogging Shotzi at all for taking the bag. There's a lot of guys in NorCal that just like, I don't want to work for this piece of shit, and that's absolutely right. I mean, that's the camp I'm in too. It's not like he's knocking down my fucking door, but it would be a hard sell for me to move to fucking Florida and work for a dude who's like got like 5 active rape cases.
yeah, and that's why I always tell people I'm glad there's AEW, which in a way to me I always say this AEW and people don't see it, but I tend to, even though I'm just a fan, I tend to see things for the bigger picture. There's some people that don't like AEW, fine, whatever. You don't like AEW. There's some people that do. Me, I like all wrestling. I'm not pro WB, I'm not pro AEW, I'm pro wrestling.
Yeah.
AEW
That's stance to have, honestly.
Yeah. And AEW, the thing with AEW is that they are a bit of a morale booster. Here's why. AEW Dark, they have given so many men and women a chance to showcase who they are on a national level. Yeah. Yeah. And now if you were to take away AEW, you would hardly find people getting that chance on WWE. Well, you might see them as security, but not in like an in-ring capacity. Whereas AEW Dark has shown me so many great people. I saw a guy named Shaft. I was like, wow.
He's the other Pacific Northwest heavyweight champion.
Yeah, when I saw him going toe to toe with Brian Cage, I was like, yo, Tony, you got to sign this guy.
Yeah, Shaft is fucking cool. I saw him wrestle Brody King at DOA once. Like back when
Yeah,
Brody King was like, he wasn't even at ROH yet. He was Brody was also, I think, a Washington guy for a long
yeah.
time.
And it's so many people he has given from like all over the country, and then England's gonna get it too because I'm sure he's gonna do AEW Dark in England and showcase a bunch of people there. But so many people who have not been signed, who have never gotten a chance to really appear in a big company, are getting that chance. And to me, that's saying for a lot of them, they're like, "Well, wow, like this is a morale boost. I'm gonna keep on going." Just when I was about to hang up my boots, my wrestling boots, here's this company that's giving me a chance to show people who I am.
Yeah, it's never a
And
bad thing for the boys to have options.
yeah,
Like
and then you got GCW and Impact. GCW is doing good things as well too.
having the option to be able to say no to a WWE contract is something entirely foreign from 5-6 years ago. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
if you're getting that McMahon money, you're gonna fucking go regardless. And now people can actually be like, I could take the McMahon money and make a little bit more, but have a way worse schedule and have no control over what I do, or I could go here, here, or here, and people can shit on the booking at AEW, maybe rightfully so. People can say it's super indie and shit, but as a worker and somebody who kind of understands the plight of a wrestler more than the typical asshole on Twitter, good for these guys. There's things that every promotion does that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm just some asshole. And I feel like a lot of these some assholes feel like their opinion matters a lot more than it actually does.
yeah. But I'm just glad for the numerous wrestling promotions that are popping up, and then you got Fight TV doing their thing too, which I encourage. I always encourage people to check out Fight TV. There's so many like regional promotions that you can actually watch. There's also YouTube, and I always tell the fans, I'm like, if you're on the East Coast, see what's on the West Coast. Don't wait until GCW or I'm not knocking GCW or AEW, but don't wait until you see them. You can see these people on these independent weekly shows. If you're on the West Coast, check out what's going on the East Coast. And if you know what's going on both coasts, check out what's going on in the Midwest and Texas and all over, because you never know who the next big thing is going to be. I'm glad to say that.
Do you keep up with NWA at all? Not NWA. I mean, I'm sorry, I was thinking of another promotion.
Wait, the North? Are you talking about NWA, like Northwest Wrestling
NWA,
Alliance?
yes.
I do, but it's just so much to watch. But I know they have some very interesting people there too.
Aware of the Thrillbilly, Silas Mason?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I trained with him.
He's on Instagram as Thrillbilly TCB, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a picture with Rhea Ripley. that's yeah, I've seen him before.
That motherfucker. Back when I was a small man, I was stomach down on the ring, and I just watched the mat get further and further away from me because he picked me up dead off the ground and back suplexed me all the way back, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Silas is fucking awesome, man. He's a great guy, and I'm so happy for him. And he's in with NWA now, and when he wins that title, he better send me a free T-shirt. That motherfucker. I put him over enough times.
Well, hopefully we get to see you, and the Hellbound still, but hopefully we get to see y'all there too. Maybe. Or GCW or so on. I think y'all would definitely be a great.
I really love his early albums, and he'll sign me immediately, I'm sure. Dude, this was so good.
So wait, so you got Hellbound. What would your reaction be if you had Hellbound going up against the Midnight Heat? Would you be like, let's take them down? This is not the team I like. They're nothing without me. I'm gonna finish your chapter. Would you be like Sami Zayn? Would you be like, I don't know what to do. I'm loyal to you guys, but these are my friends. I can't get involved in this.
I wouldn't say Ricky is my friend, but Eddie. I had a really, really great match with Eddie right when we split the tag team. It's still in my top 3 matches ever. Remind me, I'll send you the highlight video.
Awesome.
It was one of the best matches I've ever had because Eddie is pound for pound on one of the greatest unsigned talents in the Northwest. I don't even need to sing his praises, but I believe that if he went solo, he would be signed in 3 months. And
Okay.
that's all I'll say about that. But we've had opportunities to work with the Midnight Heat, and the Midnight Heat is not interested in working with us, and that's fine. That is their decision. And they had an opportunity to work with Cool Heels too, and they didn't want to work with Cool Heels either. So, as far as working with Midnight Heat, I'd like to. I think a lot of people would like to see that, but we can't force people to agree to work with other people. And I don't want to publicly say fuck these guys. Interpersonal drama in wrestling is nothing new, and I've got my bad blood with a lot of stuff that we went through, and they've got a lot of students now who look up to them, and I don't want to alienate any of those people by airing my fucking dirty laundry with those guys,
But just know,
I will say that I love Eddie still. Dude is one of the best friends I've ever had in my life, and we don't keep in contact much anymore, but great fucking dude.
But just know that if you guys ever do work with the Midnight Heat, if something happens and you guys end up, when I see you and Eddie in that ring across each other, I'll be like this.
It would be
just like that.
I've fantasy booked it in my head 100 times.
I'll be the same way I was when I first saw Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, now known as Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, respectfully, when they first faced off 11 years ago. That's how tuned in I will be just to see how that reaction. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, sometimes it's just the standoff that is memorable. Just that one moment when you say, "Wow, it's finally come to a head. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen next?" This is the start of it all.
I think me and Eddie would tear the house down in wherever the fuck we wrestled. I think it would be fucking incredible, and I hope it happens before one or both of us decide to hang it up. I would, every time I have a budget for a show, I'm like, hey, hit up Eddie, and it never lines up.
Well, hopefully it happens. So I just got hopefully it happens, and hopefully it's definitely gonna be a classic. It'll be interesting to see Midnight Heat and Hellbound mix it up. That would definitely be something. But I gotta say, Hellbound, you guys are doing a lot of great things. You guys have one of the best, and I'm gonna try my best to get him on, because I owe him a big thank you for putting me on to somewhat putting me onto Voodoo Donut, but now it's like you're saying, it's a tourist thing. But Al Tubbs, or definitely Mr. Tubbs, definitely hope I get him on here. He's one of the best I've seen. In the PNW.
It's one text for me, man.
I would definitely appreciate it. We got Malcolm Flex actually next week, so like I said, I'm hitting you. Yeah, we're hitting you guys hard. Like, y'all know, like, we're getting, like, we got Malcolm Flex, and then Raven Lake is gonna be on here soon too, a legend. So yeah, we're hitting the PNW and the West Coast hard. Like, we're not playing. We're definitely gonna get you guys on here to tell your stories and so on, like you rightfully should be able to. So, my last two questions, second to last one. When you're in the gym working out or getting ready to face your opponent, what are some songs that get the Rat King in that zone to take care of business?
You put me on the spot. Hold on, let me pop open my Spotify real quick. One of them is the most important. It's a very long song title. The most important part of your body is the one that is currently hurting by the Paper Chase. That's one that really gets me. Stabbing in the Dark by Ice Nine Kills. Here in the Black by Gary Newman. Somebody's going to be making a fucking playlist out of this someday, too, and it's going to be the most disjointed, crazy-ass playlist. Time by Pink Floyd, believe it or not. Pussy Liquor by Rob Zombie.
Okay.
and Canaries in the Coal Mine by John Congleton and the 90 Night. I also have a playlist, No Confidence Man 1994 on Spotify, that is all the entrance musics I've used. And all those songs obviously get me pumped, or I wouldn't fucking use them as entrance music.
Okay.
But I listen to some like absolute off the wall shit when I'm at the gym. Like, you know, I've been so into music and I listen to all kinds of different shit. Sometimes I just listen to podcasts or audiobooks.
Right.
But yeah, if I'm just quietly sitting in the locker room waiting for my match, it's like, you know, probably something dark, probably something kind of fatalistic and sad.
Yeah, I thought you would have listened. I had a feeling you would listen to Rob Zombie, but I thought you would listen would have been like Marilyn Manson and Ramstein, those two.
Rammstein's all right. I love Marilyn Manson, but like, you can't really publicly love Marilyn Manson anymore with all the allegations coming out about him.
Oh,
So I have come out to Satan as Billy Moon. I've come out to Tattooed in Reverse as Billy Moon, and I've come out to 1996 as the Rat King. As far as
okay.
Manson songs, so yeah, I fucking like Marilyn Manson was one of the biggest influences on me growing up, and it is an absolute shame, but not quite surprising that he turned out to be a piece
Wow.
of shit.
Man, definitely had some hits, man. I remember The Beautiful People. He redid Sweet Dreams. Man. Yeah. So my last question, you've been doing this, right? I'd say for like 10 years pretty much, right? Pro wrestling and whatnot. So obviously you have a lot of knowledge. I definitely know that. So with that being said, what advice would you give somebody who is looking to get into pro wrestling, or what advice would you give somebody who is currently, doing backyard wrestling, but they want to go to the next level?
Well, it's two very different questions, because if somebody was backyarding and they took wrestling seriously, I would just say go get trained. That's like what I tell whenever I see anybody post some shit on Facebook or whatever. Like, you know, a whole lot of people add me that I have no idea where they're from, but I see them doing backyard shit, and I'm like, go get trained. Oh, I can't afford it. Save up. Go get trained. If you're serious about this, go get fucking trained. And as for someone who is already training and maybe struggling, I'm gonna say seem so fucking egotistic by saying this, but I failed so hard, so much. I trained for a year without getting a match because I was so horribly unnaturally talented for this. Every single thing that I had to learn, I had to fuck up at least 1,000 times, and I just didn't stop. That was the thing. Like, I got a hole kicked in my lung while I was training before I ever had my first match, and I had to sit out of training for 3 months. And I showed up training 3 fucking nights a week with a notebook because I wanted it. And so the base, like the sound clip advice is just want it, man. Like, if you really want to do this, you're gonna make it work. And if you don't want it enough, you're gonna make excuses. Like, I was not physically talented. I'm still not athletic for shit, but I found a way to make it work. And that's what everybody can do. Whether you're a referee, an announcer, a wrestler, whatever job you want in wrestling, there's a way to make it work, and you can do it. And it's just very defeatist to be like, oh, well, this didn't work for me and this didn't work for me, I'm gonna give up. Then give the fuck up, man. It's not easy. And if you don't love this and you don't want to make it work, you won't. And I mean, that's that. I've been through more shit than most people have been. And that's not what was me. That's like, I survived it. And, you know, it's hard. It's shitty most times. There's going to be times you want to fucking put a bullet in your head, honestly. But if you care, you're going to fucking get through it. So just keep failing. Put your head into that brick wall 101 times if that's what it takes to break it, because that's what I had to do. And you know, if you're naturally talented and everything comes easy to you, fuck you. All right, it's harder for some of us. That's directed at no one in particular. That's just like me being a bitter piece of shit because I gotta sneak that in a little bit at least.
Yeah, but you guys are doing pretty good, man. I think you guys are gonna keep. Look at it this way, Rat King, and you have actually been doing pretty good with the traveling because you've gotten to wrestle in several different states. So you're on your way.
Yeah.
You're doing something right. If people are in another state asking for you and the gang, you guys are doing something right. So whatever it is you guys are doing, keep it up. I also like the fact you got that design, the HB. Whoever created that, genius. The
That was
HB with the 5-point star. Man,
it took me way too long to realize it was a pentagram. Like it was when we had it on shirts, and I was like, "Oh, hey, that's a fucking pentagram." And I'm just
there
sitting
you
here.
go.
I've got it on a hat right here. I'm just made those. I'm selling those this weekend. The logo has been killing it. We've sold so much merch just based off having a cool logo.
Yeah.
That's more advice. Be marketable. Like even if you're a bunch of ugly motherfuckers, have a cool logo.
That's crazy. So for those y'all heard that, if you're even if you're a bunch of ugly MFers, have a logo. You know, wise words. I mean, no sarcasm either. I'm just saying. But I gotta say, man, for those of y'all that just heard, you got some advice from a 10-year vet that's been doing the damn thing for 10 years. A little advice from him. Any other advice you want, you probably gotta hit him up on Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle, or whatever.
DM me on Instagram, man. I'm not a coach. If somebody's struggling, they can fucking hit me up, and I'm not gonna fucking charge them. That's something that trainers do.
Well, there you go. If you're looking for some advice, he's saying, definitely DM me on Instagram and all that, and he'll give you a couple of give you some advice right there. But Rat King, I just gotta say, on behalf of myself and my two co-hosts, Kathy Knight and Rob Bass, who couldn't be here tonight, we just gotta say, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on our show to talk about your wrestling career and so on. I still can't believe I have the man I was watching on WCWC, 4 or 5 years ago here on a podcast I created. It was an honor to have you on here. Before we shut this show down, where can fans find you on social media when they want to find out where your next appearances, purchase Rat King or Hellbound merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you, especially the ones over here on the East Coast when they want to book you for their shows?
So my socials are all /the Rat King. You can see it on the screen here. I've got Instagram and I've got Facebook. I don't really fuck with Twitter because it's a horribly toxic place. If you're interested in Hellbound, it's facebook.com/hailhellbound. As for merch, I'm actually working on a deal right now where a brand is going to be holding my old t-shirt design. But I'm very punk rock about how I handle stuff. I don't do pro wrestling tees. I ship everything out myself, and I would rather spend $5 shipping something out than make $6 off of my own shirt design from pro wrestling tees. So if you want merch, absolutely. I have a page. I haven't shut it down yet. Please don't buy from it. Just hit me up and we'll work something out. And outside of that, Thread by Dawn is my it's all one word. That's the brand that I work with. Stapled Spine Fanzine is a horror fanzine that I contribute to, and they're a set of great fucking dudes. A lot of horror adjacent dudes who make stuff in the Northwest, and that's really cool. I love that scene as much as I love the wrestling scene. And I think that's it. Check out Al Tubbs and Draven Vargas and Petrov and Dr. Cleaver, because those are my best friends.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you whatever merch. Just, Cash App or PayPal me, and we'll figure out shipping.
So y'all definitely heard the Rat King has merch available. Definitely hit him up. Hit up that Cash App. Hit up that PayPal. If you can't make the shows that they're on, This is another way you could support indie wrestling. That's actually by buying the merch that they have as well. And look at it this way: 99% of your AEW and WWE superstars, that's where they come from, is indies. So why not support somebody at the beginning of their journey? And that way, when some jabroni comes by and is like, "Hey, I got the new Hellbound shirt or the new Rat King shirt from Shop AEW, WWEshop.com," you could be like, "Man, sit your ass down, man. I got their shirt from when they were just starting out, man. I'm a real fan." You know
I
what I'm
got a
saying?
picture of him choking me.
There you go. So, support indie wrestling. It's a great feeling. And with that being said, it's about time for us to shut this show down. My eyes are getting heavy. My stomach is rumbling. That means it's time for dinner. Well, I guess a late night dinner and a nap. Maybe not in that order, but before I partake in those activities, if you want to find me on social media, not that I say a lot of cool stuff, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Remy Blue, and I'm also on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue. I'm on those three platforms. Our podcast is actually on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We're also on Spotify, and we also have a Teespring store where we sell official Ringside Society merch, like this Ringside Society Valentine's Day collab that we made last year. We have that design, many other great designs as well too, and we have another one coming real soon. Watch out for that. And we have t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, even coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage. Definitely check us out. Cop some merch. All proceeds go back into keeping our show afloat. They did not go back into our pockets. And last but not least, we have a YouTube channel where we have cool interviews like this one, like the one we have with King Naja, the Flaming Aces, Amira, Referee Bradley, so many other great men and women in the PNW West Coast, all over the US of A, all over the world. All you gotta do is go on YouTube, type in Ringside Society. Once you see that really gorgeous dark blue and light blue yin yang sound with the blue flames around it, that's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to our videos, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and you don't want to miss a thing, like Aerosmith in 1998. But with that being said, we just want to let everybody know. We just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. We really and truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. We strive on being one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan could and should listen to, and will continue to do so. So those y'all that are listening later on, we get a chance. Thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away, well, like myself at the Golden Corral, we're not going anywhere for a while. Then with that being said, we here, at Ringside Society are very well aware to everybody and their grandparents and their parents of a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. Hashtag, we are not the same. So I'm going to say it right now. One time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for Hellbound, and one time for the Satanist sweetheart, the broken heart of the PNW, the Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Champion, the Rat King.
Look at these. They're heavy. Okay.
There he is with the 2 championships. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society, and we'll be back later. As a matter of fact, we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of 15 Minutes of Fandom, and next week we'll be having Malcolm Flex and Raven Lake. If you don't know those 2 names, get to know them, because they're hella impressive. But until then, we just have 4 favors for y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.